So, welcome to what is probably going to be the longest unit that we will ever cover. It's probably going to take at least 3 videos to cover it, so you can imagine how long it's going to take in the classroom to go through it. First off, I don't know why I did not post a slide with this, even though it is in your packet, of the vocabulary words. There's a good chance that there could possibly be 2 vocabulary quizzes, but don't count on it. 24 words is not that much. So, first off, your vocabulary words are evaporation, precipitation, transpiration, runoff, infiltration, respiration, photosynthesis, combustion, decomposition, ecology, abiotic factor, biotic factor, producer, autotroph, consumer, heterotroph, decomposer, food chain, food web, trophic level, biogeochemical cycle, climate, ecological succession, photic zone, aphotic zone, and salinity. The dates, of course, are not posted for this, considering it is July 2nd when I'm recording this, and I probably won't end up teaching it till the middle of October or September. So those dates will be posted in the classroom. So what is this unit that we are covering now? It is going to be ecology. It is SC 912L 17.5, 17.9, and 17.20.
So what is ecology? Ecology is the scientific study of interactions between organisms and their environments. Ecology is the science of relationships. Ecology takes place in school, when you interact with your friends or interact with enemies, whichever. It takes place in the wild, it takes place at home. Ecology is everywhere. The environment is made up of 2 different factors. We have those things that are living and the things that are not living. Those are called your biotic and abiotic factors. We know that bio, when we look at our root words, means life. And A means not. So if you know your root words, you should know the difference between abiotic and biotic. Biotic is all living organisms inhabiting the earth, and abiotic is the non-living parts of the environment. For example, your temperature, soil, light, moisture, and air currents. Looking at the picture presented, let's label each number correctly, whether if it's biotic or abiotic. Number 1 is going to refer to the water, number 2 to the eagle, 3 to the sun, 4 to the ferns, 5 to the log, 6 the turtle, 7 the grass, 8 the sky, 9 the deer, and 10 the raccoon. So which ones are living and which ones are not living? Your not living, your abiotic factors are going to be number 1, 3, 5, and 8. Everything else in the picture that I have numbered is considered living or biotic. The ecosystem is classified into different levels. As I go through the levels, I want you to fill in the bubbles with the different ones. So how are we made up? First off, there's the organism. That would be like us. It's any unicellular or multicellular form exhibiting all the characteristics of life. Remember, we did the characteristics of life foldable and had the 7 different things on it. Has to contain those. And this is an individual. It is the lowest level of organization. So this one would go in the very tiny bubble. Population is a group of organisms of one species living in the same place at the same time that interbreed. A population might consist of you and your partner. You can get together, you can interbreed, same thing. They produce fertile offspring, and they compete with each other for resources. So technically, me and you, we compete to see who's going to get to the lunchroom first so we can get the food. You compete with your brothers and sisters at home as to who gets to watch the TV. You are the population. The third bubble is going to be the community. This is several interacting populations that inhabit a common environment and that are interdependent. An ecosystem, which is the 4th bubble, is a population in a community that the abiotic factors with which they interact. So now we're not only considering the living, but we're considering the not living as well in our ecosystem. And then the last bubble is the biosphere. This is the life-supporting portions of Earth composed of air, land, fresh water, and salt water. This is the highest level of organization. So how can we relate this to the school? If we were to relate this to the school, you as a student would be the organism. The next bubble will be population, which is a group of organisms of one species living in the same place at the same time that interbreed. So related to school, this might be your classroom. Then we have a community. That would be, let's say, like the 9th, 10th, 11th grade. Each one of those would be a community. The ecosystem would include the abiotic factors. That would be the school as a whole. And let's say that the biosphere is Madison County for the school example. Now I'm going to give you, as a class, well, as an individual actually, I'm going to give you a piece of paper and you have 15 to 20 minutes to complete the activity. What I want you to do is to draw out your own version of classification, so your own levels. It could be the football team. A kid last year did it on Pac-Man. Whatever you want to do, but please, please, please make sure to label your pictures. Make sure you label them correctly as well. As living organisms, we are classified by what we eat. A producer, which is also known as an autotroph, they trap energy from the sun. They are placed at the bottom of the food chain. So what are some examples of producers? You could come up with quite a few. It's mainly going to be some kind of plant for the most part. We can also be classified as consumers. Consumers are all heterotrophs. They ingest food containing the sun's energy. So there's different consumers. We have the first one would be the herbivore. And what do you think they eat? Well, they're going to eat the grass. So you could put that as a cow. You could put it as a bunny. There's all kinds of examples for herbivores. Then we have carnivores. Well, what do they eat? Carnivores eat meat. That's all they want is meat. So that could be your bear, or no, I'm sorry, not your bear. That could be your lion, your tiger. Some humans consider themselves carnivores, but they're not really. Then we have our omnivores. Omnivores actually eat both plant and animal. So, the most obvious one for an omnivore would be us. We like to eat meat. We like to eat our veggies. We are omnivores. Bears are also omnivores. They eat fish. They eat berries. There's a few others as well. Decomposers, those are at the very bottom. Actually, if you consider it, they're at the very top, but they eat what's left over for the most part. So decomposers might be like your vultures, the birds that you see on the side of the road that are eating whatever's left on the ground, the roadkill, whichever. Symbiosis is two species living together. There are 3 different types of symbiosis that we're going to talk about. As I go over it, I want you to fill in the chart below with the information that's given. So the 3 types of symbiosis are commensalism, parasitism, and mutualism. Mutualism is probably the easiest one to remember because you've heard of the word mutual before. With mutualism, both species are going to benefit from it. Meaning that species A is going to get something out of it and species B is going to get something out of it. A good example for mutualism is the pollination of flowers. So a bee pollinates a flower. Well, the bee's getting something out of it, right? He's getting the honey. And the flower's getting something out of it because it's being pollinated so it can grow. So that is mutualism. The next one, parasitism, that's something you probably heard of too. Para, like parasite. A parasite is bad. We don't want it. So one species is going to benefit, but the other one's going to end up getting hurt. An example of this would be fleas. Fleas benefit from living on our pets, but the pet doesn't benefit. We for sure don't benefit when they get in our house or get on us and bite us. The last one, commensalism, that one might be the one that you're unfamiliar with. And this one of the species is going to be benefited and the other one is neither going to be harmed nor helped. So yeah, one of them's getting something good, the other one just doesn't care. An example of this would be like barnacles on a whale. The whale doesn't care that the barnacles are on him, but the barnacles are benefiting by it gives them a place to live where maybe they won't be harmed, because who wants to harm a whale or get up close to a whale to harm it? So that is your example for commensalism. There's a lot of examples for all of these, so you can write your own or you can just go with what I said. Listed are two different types of ecosystems, but there's only really a few things that we need to know from this. You don't need to know everything on this list. First off, aquatic biomes have many different characteristics. There are two types of depth. We have photic and aphotic. Remember, A stands for not. Photo stands for light, not light. So aphotic is dark. Photic is light. So your photic water is going to be your shallow water, and your aphotic water is going to be your deep water. There are two different types of water biomes. You have your fresh water and your salt water. In fresh water, there's little to no salt. It's also called low salinity. They can be found flowing, or it could be still. So flowing being a river, of course, still being a lake or a pool. Then you have salt water. Salt water has a high salinity, meaning obviously there's a lot of salt. Otherwise it would not be called salt water. So with salt water, there's different ones. You have an estuary, and it is an area where a river meets an ocean. It is a mix of salt and fresh water. A lot of you who fish know that there's an estuary right near here that a lot of people go to. What is it? It's the mouth of the Swanee. Everybody says, hey, we're going fishing in the Swanee. That's where they're going. An intertidal zone is a portion of the shoreline that is covered with water at high tide and exposed to the air at low tide. What type of animals might we find in this zone? That would be like your starfish, your jellyfish, crabs, stingrays, hermit crabs, anything you would find, let's say if you go to Deacle Beach and you're walking out to the long dock. Those are what you're going to find on your journey out to the end of the long dock.